Bill, you want to start us off? I'm sorry.
Sure. So thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Bill Griesmer. My company is Stonegate Capital. I've been involved in note investing for several years now. And over the last couple of years, it's really been my pleasure to get to know and work with Donna Bauer quite a bit more. She has extensive history and experience all in note investing. She's done probably just about everything there is. I've been so impressed with her on a number of levels. First of all, just integrity and her willingness to work with people. And not only that, though, Donna really backs it up on the other end with some unparalleled just knowledge and really getting into the nitty gritty of note investing, including, you know, what's a good deal and what is not a good deal, and sometimes even how to take what's not a good deal and then what you have to change, what you can tweak a little bit and make it a good deal. In addition, she can also take a good deal and turn it into a great deal. And that is something she will talk probably a little bit about tonight as well. So it's really my pleasure and my honor to welcome Donna Bauer to our webinar tonight. Hello, Donna. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bill. Thank you. And thank you for those kind things you said. And it's a pleasure to be on with your trusted friends. So I hope I have the opportunity to meet each one of you. Bill and I were talking, and we both have done a lot of notes, and what we have come to realize is that most people don't understand the power of notes. And it's like they know about them, and a lot of times when I'm out speaking, people will say, well, someday, once I learn how to do real estate, then I'm gonna start doing notes. And it's like, wow, you got that all wrong. It'd be so much easier if you started doing notes. And then I have friends who have 50, 100 rental properties, and I think they tell me about deals, and I think, oh, if you just knew about notes, you could have done this, and here you would have made an extra 20 grand if you had done it this way. And I talk to people, and they think that, you know, they tell me about this deal, and they go, well, of course we couldn't do anything with it. We had to turn it down. And I'm thinking, but wait a minute, you could have, but the whole note is sold part of it, you know? And so I keep talking to people, and I just realize that there is this lack of knowledge about notes. And so I was talking to Bill, and he explained that a lot of his people that he's in contact with, they're already doing notes and stuff. But I thought, you know, maybe I could shed some light on some new strategies. And so, Bill, what I've done is I've just gone through, and this is not my regular presentation at all. I am going to go over Sam and Bill just briefly, just in case somebody does not understand just the basic scenario. But I very quickly want to get into a lot of different strategies. And Bill, what I thought I'd do is just go through each one. Please feel free to chime in, Bill, because I know you have a lot of experience yourself, and you have a different outlook on some things. So I welcome any comments you may have on it as well. So, and by the way, I do have a special gift for everybody that stays to the very end. It is a free gift that I'm going to give away. But for right now, let's just jump in, and I hope you enjoy what I have to share.
I'm going to share your screen here, Donna. Give me 1 second here. And then if you just move your mouse over to the presenter view, you can click the buttons to navigate.
I think we got it.
Cool.
Okay, so I was looking at some of the people I recognize names on the screen, and I know some of you have properties and some of you have both properties and notes. But the big thing for those of you who only own properties, if you haven't really delved into notes fully, the thing that you want to realize is that notes are so much easier. And I think once you get familiar with them, then you will once you get familiar with them, then you're going to want to do notes instead of properties, okay? So first of all, why do you prefer to do notes? Because you never own the property. The key is that you want to control the property without owning it. When you own the property, you own all the headaches that go with it, okay? And so notes allow you to have the security of the real estate without any of the headaches of ownership. So you don't deal with the proverbial tenants, trash, toilets. And best of all, you don't deal with bed bugs. Oh my goodness, I had bed bugs in one of my properties and I thought we would never get rid of them. Well, with notes, you don't have to worry about the bed bugs, okay? And you don't have to deal with rehabs. You don't have to worry about building orders. You don't have carrying costs, and you never have to worry about negative cash flows. And the thing that I really, really like about it, and once you start doing notes in this manner, is that you can make more money than your friends who have PhDs. And you can make, with part-time efforts, you can make more than what they make working full-time. And I learned that right on. I mean, I have friends who have PhDs and they're working 40, 60 hours a week. And I started out and I'm working maybe 10 or 15 hours a week and making more money than they were. And I have done that consistently. Well, I don't work 15 hours a week anymore, but I have consistently, if we look at the time spent, I'm making way, way more than a lot of my friends who actually have PhDs and are professionals. You're going to make amazing rates of return. And I'm hesitant to say it because people say, well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You know what? That's not the case with notes. With notes, it's all in the numbers, and the numbers do not lie. And one of the things that I really want to share with you is how you can lock in a yield, let's say, of 25%. That's not unusual when you buy a seller carryback note, okay? So you could lock that in, and then I want to show you how you can negotiate an early payoff. And when you do that, your rate of return skyrockets, and you can easily get a 70, 80, 90% return on your investment. And then you take that money and you put it right back into another note. Now, can you imagine the difference? I don't know what you're earning in your IRA right now, but let's say you're even earning 10%, which is not too shabby. Can you imagine if you could increase that to 70 or 80%? I mean, do you see, like, your growth would be exponential. And the thing is, it's such a simple concept. You don't have to have some sophisticated strategies and, all these spreadsheets and special software programs and a whole team of people. It's a real simple how-to. And once you got that, my goodness, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with just a little bit of cash. Okay. And the big thing I think for most people is that you don't need your own cash or credit to get started. They find that very hard to believe, and it is a fact. It's much easier, much easier to do notes with none of your own money than it is to buy a property with no money down. And so I want to let you know, I mean, these are just a few of the reasons why you're going to prefer notes over properties. And ultimately, that is going to give you the time and money to live your vision. So one of the things, too, that I want to talk about is, besides why you'll prefer notes over properties, is that notes are so versatile, they really fit everyone. And I mean that very sincerely. It doesn't matter what your goals are, whether you want monthly income, whether you want a lump sum of money, whether you want to build long-term wealth for the future. It doesn't matter what your goals are. I can show you different strategies to achieve those goals. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. Maybe you want to do this full-time. Maybe you want to do it part-time. Maybe you don't have any cash. Maybe you've been through bankruptcy and foreclosure. Maybe you've got $1 million. You're trying to figure out how to invest. And what is very cool is that you can tailor make a game plan to fit exactly what you want to do. And the interesting thing is, I bet everybody that's on this call tonight will have a different game plan because everyone is in a different situation and has different goals. Do you agree with that, Bill?
Yes, 100%. That's something that attracted me, and the more I learn about it, I didn't even understand this at first, is the variability of notes and the versatility, and how, you know, given your particular circumstance and situation and what it is you want to do, you can probably do it with notes, versus if you're just a real estate wholesaler, there's really only one thing you can do with wholesaling. With notes, it's kind of the keys to the kingdom, that you can do a lot of different things with it.
Exactly. I totally agree. So with that, I would like just to go through, like I said, some various scenarios. Do you need quick cash? I don't know anybody that can't use quick cash. You know, even if you've got money, it's like it's all invested. And hey, if you just have a little bit more, you could do something else. Well, one of the fastest ways to get quick cash, it's the fastest, easiest, safest way that I know of, is simply to flip a note. Excuse me. And you can flip performing seller carryback notes or non-performing notes. What I want to share first is how to flip a seller carryback. And the reason is most people have no idea that you can even do this. And it has been my bread and butter for 30 years. This is exactly what I did on my very first deal. And I do them on a routine basis. And so the seller carrybacks are near and dear to my heart. So let's say that you have Sam, and he owns his own house free and clear. And he puts it on the market for sale, has some trouble because everybody that wants to buy it, their loan falls apart and they can't get approved by a bank. And so he winds up putting an ad on Craigslist, and Bill Bauer calls him up, goes right over, looks at the house, falls in love with it. And he says, look, I want to buy your house. I have $150,000 I could give you as a down payment. I'll pay you 10% interest, $4,000 a month. And in 10 years, I'll refinance and pay you off. Wouldn't you be pretty happy if you were Bill, you know, after going through multiple potential buyers that all got turned down, you know, at the bank? And so needless to say, they strike a deal, and Sam sells the house to Bill for $600,000. And in exchange, Bill gives Sam $150,000 in cash, plus he gives Sam a mortgage for $450,000. So if you look at this, this is a great deal for Bill because he got a really quick sale of his house. He's getting an above rate of return on his money, and he's got some tax benefits because he's spreading out his profit over time. And overall, he's just got a really nice, safe investment. So needless to say, this is a great deal for Sam. But what happens inevitably when people carry back these notes is that their situation changes. And for one reason or other, they need money. Life happens. They get married, they get divorced, they want to start a business, they want to go to school, they've got medical problems, they want to travel. Things happen. So in this case, let's say that 2 years go by and the mortgage, the $450,000 mortgage, is paid down to just over $443,000. Well, Sam is getting pretty tired of waiting for his money. You know, that seems like eternity. 2 years, and he's still got another 8 years to go. And so he has this opportunity, let's say, of a lifetime, that he can be a multimillionaire, and he just needs $375,000. But where is that money? It's tied up, and he has to wait another 8 years to get it. So it just so happens that he got a letter from Donna Dealer here, and this letter says, Dear Sam, I understand that you're receiving payments on a mortgage, and I pay cash for mortgages. So give me a call, and I'll tell you how much cash I'll give you today for your mortgage. Well, if you were Sam, would you call me? In a heartbeat. So he calls me up, he tells me the whole scenario, and it sounds like a great deal to me. So we strike a deal, and Sam sells me the remaining $443,000 of payments. And in exchange, I give Sam the $375,000 in cash that he was looking for. Okay, so do you see that I did not buy the house? Okay, Bill still lives in the house. I bought the right to step into Sam's shoes and collect the payments from Bill. So Sam is off and running. He goes, starts this business, hopefully makes millions of dollars on this new business, and he has nothing to do with this note again. Meanwhile, let's look at Bill. Does his position change? Not at all. Well, actually, he's got to send his payments to me instead of to Sam. But that's the only thing that changes for Bill, okay? So what do you think about this? If you were Sam, would you be happy with a situation like this? Was that a good deal for him? If you look at it financially, he got $150,000 as a down payment. He's collected $96,000 over the last 2 years in monthly payments, and I just gave him $375,000. So that's $621,000. Do you remember how much he was selling the house for? $600,000. So needless to say, he is thrilled. But I have to tell you, it's not always about the money. A lot of times it's about the timing. When people change their mind and they want their cash, it's like that J.G. Wentworth commercial. It's my cash and I want it now. And that is so true. And so you want to be in a position where you can give them cash. And the best part of all this, it doesn't have to be your cash. It could be my cash, Bill's cash, another investor's cash. But when you're in a position to put that deal together, guess what you're going to be putting in your own pocket? A nice lump sum of cash for yourself, okay? So let's look at this now from my perspective. Are you thinking you might want to be in my shoes? Because I can promise you'll want to be. The thing is, I just bought a $443,000 asset for $375,000. Okay, so I've built in $68,000 of profit right up front. So do you realize that if Bill were to refinance and pay me off, or if he sold the house, the very day I buy this note, I'm going to make $68,000, okay? And so recognize that when you buy a note, there are two profit centers. There is the 10% that Bill is paying on the outstanding balance that he owes, but there is also the discount. Because I bought this $443,000 note for only $375,000, I've got $68,000 of extra profit in the deal that Sam didn't have, okay? Now, because of that, because I have this extra profit built in, that increases my rate of return. So I'm actually getting 13.25% on my $375,000. So that 13.25% is a combination of the 10% interest that Bill is paying, as well as the $68,000 discount that I negotiated up front. And because I've got that extra, that's why I'm getting 13.25% when Bill is only paying me 10%. I hope you see that, because that discount is really where most of the profit comes from. And when you understand that concept, that is what is going to allow you to do a lot of creative deal structuring that you would have never thought possible before. So one of the things that I would like for you to write down, it's a very, very important concept, is the less that you pay for a discounted mortgage, the higher your rate of return. Why? Because you built in a bigger discount. And the more discount that you can build up front, the higher your rate of return, okay? So going back to our deal, if I had my own money, if I had $375,000 that I wanted to put into this note, indeed, I would be making 13.25% on my money. But what if you don't have any cash? I told you, you don't need your own cash or credit to get started. And I genuinely meant that. If you don't have any money to buy the note, what are you going to do? You're going to flip it. And flipping it is like one of the easiest things to do. Bill, have you flipped notes before?
Not yet. That hasn't gotten really into my particular circumstance, but it's something I'm looking at because note investing is something I would like to try to move into more of a full-time role very soon. And that's a way to generate income and to replace a job, really. And
Exactly.
so, you know, up till now, I haven't worried about that, but that's another thing I've gotten from Donna is this is a way to supplement and eventually replace your income.
And so you've been focusing on being the investor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Whereas some people, when they're starting out, they have to focus on being Donna Dealer and flipping the deals. Because I was babysitting for $1 an hour. I had no money to invest. Okay. Well, I had $3,500, and I'm going to tell you about that. I had that in my IRA. But so that's exactly what I mean. That, Bill, that's a perfect example of different people have different goals. And
exactly.
So there's different strategies. So if you don't have your own cash to get started, then you should plan on finding the deals and flipping them to an investor. And you might be thinking, well, that sounds great, but where am I going to get the money? You are going to use your investor's money to buy it. And this works for both performing and non-performing notes, okay? Right now we're talking about the performing seller carrybacks, but in a little bit we're going to talk about the non-performers. So you're going to use Irene investors' money, okay? So this next slide is the most important slide that I am going to show you tonight. And it is the secret of how to make money with discounted notes, okay? And this is what I really want you to get your head around, because when you do, this will allow you to branch out and do all kinds of other strategies as well. So let's say it could be because you sent out direct mail letters. It might be because you networked at the local real estate investors meeting. It could be any number of things. Maybe you get referrals from attorneys and contractors or developers, mortgage brokers, realtors, CPAs, financial planners. You know, but one way or another, you locate somebody, a note seller, who's holding a seller carryback, and he wants to sell his note. And so you negotiate a deal with him. And in this case, we said that he's looking for $375,000. And we said that if, let's see if we can take that away. There we go. And we said that if you had your own money, that you would make 13.25. We call that our buy rate, okay? So how are you going to make money on this note if you have no cash to invest? It's very simple. All you want to do is find an investor who wants a lower rate of return than your buy rate. So you're at the local RIA meeting, or maybe you're at Bill's subgroup meeting and you're talking to someone, and she says, Irene investor says, you know, I'm really burnt out on properties. I've been doing this too long. I hate the 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls. Man, if I could make 11 or 12%, I would switch to notes in a heartbeat. Well, is 11.5% less than 13.25? It sure is, isn't it? And so, should we sell it to her? Well, if you want to make $35,000, you ought to sell it to her. Because if she's looking for an 11.5% return, that means she'd pay $410,000 for that note. So it's a real simple concept. Buy low, sell high, and whatever the difference is, that's your profit. And one of the things that I want to comment on, Bill, I am going to show a few slides with some numbers on it. And I happen to love the calculator. I love figuring out how I can make the most money and all that kind of stuff. But I really want to impress on people, if you're not a numbers person, it doesn't matter. You need to be a people person, okay? I love to use my brother as an example. He hates the calculator, but he sure knows how to talk to Sam Seller and find out how much Sam wants for his note. And he knows how to contact me, or he would certainly know how to contact another possible note buyer and say, hey, I've got this note. How much will you give me for it? So buy low, sell high, and he'd walk away with $35,000. You ask him his rate of return, and he'd say, enough, you know? And the truth is, you don't even need a calculator on this deal because his rate of return is what? Infinite, okay? So this is your basic deal, and I really, really hope that you will get that in your head and understand the concepts there, because this is the foundation for everything else that we're going to talk about. Anything to add to that, Bill?
One of the things that occurred to me actually is I used to think to really be an effective flipper that you had to have these huge differences in percentages. But in this example right here, I mean, your difference is only what, 1.75%?
Yes.
But that's enough to really get you a really nice profit on that particular transaction. So it's not like, you know, you got to find a note for 16% and then find someone to buy it for 6%. There's only a 1.75% difference there, which is, you know, manageable. So
absolutely,
that's one of the big things I pick up from that example.
And one of the reasons why that is so profound here is the size of the note.
Yes.
The larger the note, the larger your profit. So that's a good thing to recognize as well. So the important thing to see here is that you are using Irene investors' money. Now, in the big picture, as you're sitting listening here and you're trying to figure out how you're going to use notes to accomplish your goals, you need to identify whether you're going to be the investor or are you going to be Donna Dealer. And we did this with Bill. It was a perfect example. I think that we can all agree that ultimately our goal is to be a passive investor. So if you want to be Irene or Ivan investor, you're going to buy the notes and hold them using your own cash. And you do this because you want to get a nice high yield on your money. On the other hand, if you don't have cash to get started, then you want to flip the note. You're going to be Donna Dealer, buying and selling using other people's money, and you do it because you want to make a lump sum of cash. Well, you make 50,000 here, 40,000 there, 100,000 over there. Pretty soon you got enough money that you can be a passive investor as well. And in fact, I always talk about one of my students on his very first deal. His profit on his deal was over $395,000. Can you imagine that, Bill? Wouldn't that be so sweet?
I wish I could, yeah.
Well, you know,
I want to do more than imagine, though.
I know. But okay, so if you want to do this, you need to go look for larger notes. Yes. And he found a note that he could buy for $2 million. He didn't have $2 million to buy it, but he found an institution that would buy it, and his profit was almost $400,000. Pretty sweet. Okay, so now that you understand the basics of Sam and Bill, and that we're buying at a discount, and that there's two profit centers, there's the interest and the discount. And I think we can all agree that our ultimate goal is to be Irene or Ivan investor. But until we get to that point, we're going to be Donna Dealer and flipping deals. And I shouldn't say until we get to that point, because even today, there's lots of times that I get great deals that I don't have the cash available. And so if all my cash is already deployed, then I'm going to flip that deal. So it's interesting because any given day of the week, I can go back and forth. Sometimes I'm Donna Dealer, sometimes I'm Irene investor. Okay. But now I want to start showing you some of the specific strategies that I think you're really going to be excited about. How would you like to build wealth quickly from scratch? Are you wondering, you know, I don't have any retirement, or I lost all the money in the stock market, or I lost the money in the downturn. You know, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how am I going to build a retirement income for myself? Well, this is one of my favorite ways, and that is to use my arbitrage to create cash now and cash later.
Yep, all in one move.
All in one move.
Yep.
Now, you might be wondering what an arbitrage is. To me, an arbitrage is when you do a deal, you have none of your own money invested in it, and when everything shakes out, you've come up with a nice asset. Okay, so let me show you this deal. And I've had a number of people do this. Actually, I had showed this as a strategy at one of my 4-day academies many years ago. And one of my students, Kurt, he fell in love with this. And he said, I'm doing this deal. And it was like he made that his personal goal to find a deal to do this. And a few months after the academy, he called me up and he said, Donna, I got a note under contract. I need help. And he had found this woman who was moving to Europe. And so she was divesting of all of her real estate investments. And she sold this house, carried back a note. This is a brand new note. It was for $71,000 and it had 180 payments on it, left on it. This is brand new. She agreed to sell it to him for $46,000. Okay. And so I want to show you how you can buy this entire note without any of your own cash or credit. Here's how it works. What you're going to do is you're going to sell part of the payments. So what I did in this case, I called up one of my institutional buyers. I explained what I had and they said, well, you know, it's brand new, there's no seasoning, and so we don't want to buy the whole thing. They said, but we'll buy 100 payments. I said, okay, what will you give me for 100 payments? And they said, we'll give you 50,000. So do you see what happened? He's got it sold for 46 and he's getting 180 payments. We're selling only 100 payments for 50,000. So he's making $40,000 up front on that deal. Okay. But more importantly, what happens to the tail end of it? Those last 80 payments go to him as well, to the tune of about $45,000. Now, what's really, really sweet about this deal is this really was in his self-directed IRA. Let that sink in for a minute. Okay, so he had his IRA buy this entire note. He had his IRA sell just 100 payments. So $4,000 goes into his IRA at closing. And after the institution collects the 100 payments, then his IRA is going to collect the last 80 payments. Isn't that sweet? So do you see that he's putting $50,000 into his self-directed IRA, and that's not a contribution. Okay, so if you're wondering how you can build your IRA quickly, I don't know of a better way. And all you need, theoretically, you could use, and I didn't get into this in this particular webinar, but if you have my materials or access, I'll show you how you can get access to them. I teach you how you can buy the notes with none of your own cash using a simultaneous close or an assignment of contract. And so, but the thing is, on this one, he did an simultaneous close. But in order to do that in your IRA has to show consideration. What does that mean? It means it has to give the note seller some money. And so what I do is on all of my IRA deals, I just add a very simple clause into the note purchase agreement that says that I'm going to pay them $100 earnest money. And so by having my IRA send $100 to the note seller, that's what makes this a legal transaction where I can be dumping $50,000 worth of profit into my IRA, and it isn't even a contribution. Isn't that sweet? So imagine if you did one of these deals a year. Shoot, you could do one of these deals a year and it could equal your entire annual income. So you could be doubling your income and putting this into your self-directed IRA and then reinvesting it in other notes. I mean, the possibilities are endless. But one of the things I really like about this is that you get some money up front, but meanwhile you're building this back end wealth. And the truth is, so what's supposed to happen here is after the institution collects 100 payments, then the last 80 payments go to your IRA. But really, what most likely is going to happen is 3 or 4 years down the road, you're probably going to get a call from a title company, and before you even start collecting the 80 payments, they're going to say, hey, guess what? The guy sold the house, or the guy refinanced, got a lower interest rate. So what do we owe you for your last 80 payments? And so everything's all figured out on an amortization schedule, and you'll get the present value of those payments. So you're probably going to get a lump sum of money. You're probably not going to wait 100 months to start collecting. But whatever it is, the beauty is you don't have any of your own money invested. So does it really matter whether you wait 180 or 100 months or whether you get it in 3 or 4 years? It doesn't matter because you have none of your own cash invested. I hope you like that. That's one of my very, very favorite deals.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? You like that, Bill?
Yes, very much. Guys, this is how you build wealth. I mean, think about that. Again, you're making $4,000 up front. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I think $4,000 is a lot, but that's not life-changing money. But, you know, $45,000 on the end for, you know, not doing that much extra, that is really how you build long-term wealth. So, yes, that's a great strategy.
Awesome. So to do this, now you could do it outside your IRA if you're going to live off of the money, but if you're trying to build long-term wealth, you want to do a self-directed IRA. I'm guessing probably everybody on here tonight has one. If not, I highly recommend that you get one. I use camaplan.com. That's C-A-M-A plan.com. I find them to be very easy to work with. Their fees are much lower than a lot of other people's, and they're really helpful in getting the deal done. There's not a lot of red tape, okay? Okay, so that's the fastest, easiest, safest way that I know of to build retirement. Okay, moving on. How many of you would like to grow your money quickly and safely? So maybe you have a little bit of cash available, and you're trying to figure out where can you put that, where you can grow it as fast as possible, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your principal is safe. Well, you could buy seller carrybacks to hold and then negotiate an early payoff. And this is what I was talking about at the very beginning. This is a deal that I did that was a really sweetheart deal. The idea is that you're going to buy the note, you're going to lock in a fairly high rate of return. Because like I said, if you're advertising for notes, seller carryback notes, it's not unusual for you to get 20, 25, 30% yield right out of the gate. And the reason is that note sellers, they don't know how to calculate yield. They know they need X amount of dollars. And if you can give them the cash they need, a lot of times you're going to wind up with a very, very high yielding investment. So you lock in that high rate of return. And if nothing happens, but they just pay as agreed, you're going to make a nice rate of return. But what I encourage you to do is to negotiate an early payoff on it. And then you will see your rate of return will totally skyrocket. In this case, this was just a little note. Excuse me, but I want to show it to you because it was such a great deal, even on a small amount. So this particular company, it was a furniture company, and they were looking for $10,000 to buy some more inventory. And they had this little mortgage that was available. There were 39 payments, and then it had a $25,000 balloon. Since they only wanted $10,000, I invested $10,300, and I just bought part of the balloon. So when the $25,000 balloon pays off, I get the first $14,000 of it, and they get whatever is left. And that's called a partial, okay? So I locked in a 30% rate of return right off the bat. And I do this all the time, okay? This is very, very common to get those kind of rates of return. But what happened was here, this was a note in Florida, and the Florida Department of Transportation wanted to run a highway through this property. And so they called me up and wanted to know what my payoff was. So it was 8 months later, the whole note paid off. I made $6,000, including my monthly payments. And get this, my rate of return jumped to 88%. I love those kind of deals, Bill. I mean, isn't that sweet? Can you imagine if you could do that on all of your investments?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big eye-opener for me, guys. Something I really learned from Donna is just how an early payoff really increases your return. And Donna even has some tips and some ways to kind of nudge that along sometimes, to kind of nudge it to draw that early payoff out of a deal. It's a very valuable thing to keep in mind. And like she just pointed out with the numbers, your return really does skyrocket when you do that.
I mean, if I know that I'm going to make $6,000, I could offer to pay $1,000 of their closing costs. You know, you call them up and you say, you know, interest rates are real low, and I've got a friend who's a mortgage broker. I bet that he could help you to refinance. You could save some money. And meanwhile, they don't know it, but I'm making 88% or whatever it is on my money. And so, you know, a lot of times people think that they need to go into the note business. I think most people think that, Bill. Have you run into that? Where it's like you're a real estate investor or you're a note investor. But there's lots of part-time real estate investors. And there should be a lot of part-time note buyers as well, you know? I think that there are, but I think that someone who is not familiar with note buying thinks that it's a full-time thing. And the truth is, you could do, let's say you did one of these. Let's say you bought this note and you tried to negotiate the early payoff, because the early payoff means that you're getting that discount. Instead of waiting 20 years or whatever for it to pay off, you're going to get that in a matter of a couple months. So let's say if it does pay off, now you might have 15, 20 hours in that deal. Well, if it pays off and you've made that kind of money, wouldn't it be worth it to spend another 20 hours and buy another one? You know, if you're making that kind of money, who wouldn't do that? Mm-hmm. But let's say you buy the note and the guy doesn't want to pay off. In that case, you still are making 30% on your money. And you could even wait 10 months from now. He might call you up and say, you know what, I've been thinking about that and I would like to refinance now. So refinance it at that point. Because if you've built that discount in, then if you add on all the money that you've collected for the 10 months of payments that you got, plus whatever he refinances and pays you off with, I promise you, your rate of return is still going to go up. Not as much as if you've gotten a full payoff right up front, but still significantly. And so my point here is just doing one or two of these deals a year can just really, it's like jumpstart your IRA. I mean, I can't, one of these days, well, here's the thing. I sat down, Bill, and I tried to do some numbers to show how quickly it could grow an IRA. The problem is there's too many variables, but I did some generalities. And if you have $100,000, if you start with $100,000 and you do just one note deal a year, you could easily have over $1 million in 10 years, easily, just by doing these kind of investments, you know? So you don't need a lot of money to get started. I'm defying all the principles. You know, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Nope, that's not true. You know, you really can make these kind of returns. So basically, you know, this is what the next question is. Do you want to build wealth, but you hardly have any time? This is another great example of the early payoff. This was a deal that my student Rick and I did, and we negotiated this deal with Miss Annie. She had been in real estate all her life, and she was very, very ill. And she said, look, if I can get $80,000 for this, we got a deal. And so we wound up right off the get-go with a 25% rate of return. So if I'd used my own money to buy this, I would have been making 25%. I don't stay in deals with students. If I'm partnering with you, we're going to buy and sell and realize our profit right then and there and split it. And so I called one of my other students who happened to live in Texas as well, and we sold it to him for $95,000, and we wound up making over $14,000 profit just flipping the note. So here, Rick and myself are acting as Donna dealer, and we're flipping the note to make quick cash. But what I wanted to show you on this was what happened with Ivan. He helps the borrower to refinance, and 3 months later, on his $95,000 investment, he gets a payoff of $117,000. So his 17% investment in 3 months jumps to 96% return. You know, and he probably he probably has less time than I had invested in it because I put the whole package together and everything. I bet you he doesn't have 10 hours of work in this. So, Bill, if this were you, would you want to get that return, get your money back and then turn around and buy another note?
Yeah, I think I can live with that. I really think I'd take one for the team to make that happen.
Take one for the team. I would too. But see, the thing is, it doesn't have to be something that you quit everything you're doing and get into notes. You just need, I mean, this is a very simple strategy. I teach a 4-day course. You don't need 4 days instruction to do this deal. It's a very simple deal. And Bill will tell you, Bill loves my checklist. And I have a checklist for this deal. I didn't have a chance to put it up on the screen, Bill. But my checklist will take you step by step how to buy this note and turn around and sell it to an investor. And I mean, really, you listen to the 10 hours of audio that I have, and you can put this deal together. In fact, I should have brought this on my screen. You might have heard me talk about my nephew, who at the time was, I think he was 23 when he did this. I'm not sure. Very young, and he was in college. He called me up and he wanted my Note Buyer's Master Guide course. And I gave it to him, and a few months later he calls me up and he says, Aunt Donna, I got a deal. And I said, you got a what? And he had put this whole deal together without me. And I was really upset. At first I thought, how could you do that without me? And then I realized I was with him all the way because he was using my checklist and he did each thing, marked it off. And before he went to close, he said, hey, will you just look at this and make sure I did everything right? So you can be making a 96% return on your money, or you can be making $14,000 quick cash with just, you need to invest a little bit of time to learn. And the deal itself probably, it depends on what deal you do, but 10 to 20 hours. And I mean, if that would change your financial future forever, I mean, I think I could scrape together enough hours to do that a couple times a year. Okay. Hopefully you can as well. All right. So again, as I mentioned before, when your discounted mortgage pays off early, your rate of return skyrockets. And you can use this very simple strategy to build significant retirement income by doing just one note a year. Of course, if it pays off early, then you need to do 2 notes a year. Okay. Anybody worried about another downturn? I've been hearing people say that they can't even find deals to flip. And they're thinking, okay, now what am I going to do? Well, maybe you ought to think about flipping notes, okay? If you're worried about a downturn, I got to tell you, my best years were during the downturn, okay? Not only because of the amount of non-performing notes, but do you know the silver lining to that was that there were so many more seller carryback notes created that for years after that, I mean, I'm still, even now, getting notes that were originated back then, you know, and that are paying off. And so I highly recommend that you learn notes now so that you're ready to cash in, because it's not if we have a downturn, it's when. Because it's a fact. Real estate is cyclical. You've got, you know, the market's appreciating and the bubble appears, and it's just a matter of time before it pops and it recycles all over again, and we build up, and it's just one continuous thing. Well, the beauty about learning notes is it's good for every area of the cycle. You might shift, like sometimes you might do non-performing notes instead of performing, or, you know, whatever it is, but truly, you know, think of it this way. Every real estate transaction that you do, unless it's all cash, it involves a note. And so if you are focusing just on the seller, or if you are focusing just on the property itself, you're missing the boat. It's when you get an understanding of the underlying financing, that's when you can really just explode your profits, okay? Okay. Are you having trouble selling your fix and flips? Sell fast for top dollar with seller financing. I don't know, Bill, do you know if Debbie's on the deal tonight? Or Debbie's on the call tonight? Remember when we did this last year at your note group?
Oh.
And she was there? Did you see her on the call?
Let me see.
I mean, this
Yes,
is.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
I think she is.
You are there?
I am.
Awesome. Hey, Debbie, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. I hope you don't mind that I share this deal with everybody.
Not at all. Not at all.
Have you done any more notes since then?
No, unfortunately, we've done like 3 significantly priced houses flipped and a 6-unit they were about to flip instead.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, that's very cool. That's very cool. But are you planning on doing some more notes?
Yeah, I'd love to get into notes. I would love to get
Awesome.
into notes.
Awesome. Hey, you should think about coming to my academy this year.
How much is it is always the right question, right?
Hey, I'm going to do a special at the end of this, but we definitely need to talk. I would love for you to come. But
Okay.
anyway, so let me share this with everybody. Thank you for speaking up. It's good to validate things so people know that this is a real deal and they're real people. So Deb this is funny because I was writing this example, a deal. I was making up a sample deal. And this is the afternoon of Bill's note group. And Deb calls me up and says, hey, can you tell me what to do with this deal? And I went, oh my gosh, do you mind if I use this as the example? I mean, it was like perfect timing. So she was selling the house on a land contract with the following terms. She was selling it for $79,900. She had a $15,000 down payment. And so she carried back a note for $64,000, 8% interest, 180 months. The payment was $620.22. And she had an underlying bank loan for $45,000 that needed to be paid off. And so her loan to value here is $64,000, based on the note that she's creating, is the $64,000 balance divided by the purchase price of $79,900. Okay, now she could have very easily seasoned this note for 6 to 12 months. Season means collect payments so that it has a pay history, okay? And then she could have sold the whole note. And in fact, that's what most people do. And they only do that because they don't know of a better way, okay? And so what I suggested was, well, let me show you. I did give the calculations on this. And I don't really, we're like really running out of time. So I don't want to go into great detail on this. Let me back up here. But one of the things that I do is that I run my numbers on this. So the first thing I did was I checked the original terms, and we found out that the payment would be $620.22. And by the way, if you really do want to know what I'm doing here, my calculator, I have Making Dollars and Cents with Your Financial Calculator. You will totally love it because I explained all of this and show you how I reach each of the calculations. If you want to know the current balance after 6 months, you just put 6 into N and you solve for FE, and you find out that the current balance after 6 months of making payments would be $63,755. And then the next thing I want to know is, what is the value of the payments that are remaining? Because that's what we're considering selling. So if she's collected 6 payments, then there are 174 payments left. It's still paying 8% interest. The payments are $620.22. There's no balloon. So at the end of the term, the value is 0. And so notice here that that $63,755 is the same as the current balance, because the value of the note is the current balance that's owed. Okay. So if you sell this to an investor who wants a 10% minimum discount, that means that an investor is going to pay $57,380. Okay. And that works out that they're getting an actual rate of return of 9.84%. Okay, so if she sold this to an investor, she would get $57,380. She would pay off her bank loan of $45,000, and she would get cashed out and make $12,380 plus her down payment of $15,000. So her total profit on that rehab would be $27,380. Now, why would she do it with seller financing? Because she can sell very, very quickly. Whenever, if you're having trouble flipping your properties, whether it's because your borrowers keep getting turned down at the bank, if you offer your seller carryback, then you can make the decision. There are a lot of people who don't qualify for bank financing, but they're still very good borrowers, okay? And that's what you're looking for. They might have a glitch that they haven't been at their job for 2 years, but they always pay on time, you know, that kind of thing. So you can sell your property for top dollar. You can get a nice rate of return. You can sell it quickly. So that's why you want to sell with seller financing, okay? But what if, as one of Deb's goals, what if it was to build future monthly cash flow? Well, if she sells the whole note, then she gets a lump sum of money. That's not her goal. I mean, if she was looking for a lump sum of money to go buy the 6 unit, that would be a neat thing to do. But her goal, let's say, is that she wants future monthly cash flow. So what she could do is she could sell just part of the note and she could keep the rest. Once you learn how to deal with part of a note, you will see pieces of a note are worth more than the whole note. What is it? The sum of the parts is greater than the whole? I think that's the way that goes. So let's say that she's going to season it for 3 months and she's going to sell part of the note. The present value of the 110 remaining payments would be, if we're going to sell those to 110 payments to an investor at a 9% return, that means that investor would pay $46,343, okay? And she would pay off her bank loan of $45,000, and let's say she's going to use the rest for closing costs. So in this case, Deb is keeping $620.22 times 67, okay? She's keeping 67 payments, okay? And so that turns out to be $41,554 plus 8% interest, okay? Because that's just the balance that's owed. She's going to also get the monthly interest for as long as they have that out. And she gets the down payment. So that gives her a total profit of $56,554. So compare that to if she had sold the whole note, she would have only made $27,000 for the whole note. So do you see that if you don't need all of your cash up front, because when you sell it, you're selling it at a discount, okay? If you don't need it, if you don't need your cash now, why would you want to discount it? Just sell enough to raise whatever money you need and then keep the rest so you don't have to discount it. And what will happen is you will ultimately make more money. So in this case, she just sold enough to pay off the underlying bank loan and her costs, and she kept the rest of her money invested in the deal. Okay. Pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
I love the partials. Okay, so are any of you not making enough on your rehab profits as you would like? Well, you can maximize your fix and flip profits by doing these partials, just like I showed you. So let's say that you borrow private money for a rehab. I think a lot of people do that. And you finish your rehab, and now you sell the property, and you use a seller carryback for $70,000. So the buyer's going to pay you $70,000. But the problem is that you need $40,000 to pay off the private loan. Well, my suggestion is that you sell just part of it, enough to pay off the loan and maybe pull out a little bit of cash. And then you keep the remaining payments as an investment. And again, Those remaining payments then don't get discounted, and that's what allows you to maximize your profits, okay? So let me show you how this works. Now, this is a little tricky thing, and if you're not familiar with notes, it might not make great sense to you, but it is a fact, and so I know that a lot of you are familiar with notes, and so I want to show you this. The way that it works is that if you carry back this, and just to make it easy, I'm saying no down payment. I recommend you get a down payment, but just so we can make these numbers very simple, I'm saying that the house is worth $70,000 and you carried back a $70,000 mortgage, okay? Now, what most people would think that they would want to do is just sell the whole note to raise as much money as they can. But the problem is when you sell the whole note, that's way too risky for an investor. And so they're going to say, hey, we don't want to invest more than 70% of the value of that property. Well, if the value of the property is $70,000, that means the most that they're going to pay for this, for the mortgage, is just $49,000, okay? That gives them a 70%, they call it investment to value. That means that their total investment equals 70% of the actual value of the property, okay? So that means that you took a $21,000 discount. That's too much. You shouldn't have to do that, okay? And some people will do this because they think it's their only alternative. Let me show you a better way. So I forgot to mention that you pay off the $40,000, so you do get the $9,000 profit here, okay? But nonetheless, you lost $21,000 in that deal. I say only sell what you actually need to raise. You want, when you're selling, you want the discount to be at a minimum. When you're buying, you want as large of a discount as you can get. Okay, so what I'm going to propose is that you sell only $56,000 worth of payments, okay? Because if you sell just $56,000 worth of payments, most investors will pay 90 cents on the dollar for that. And the reason is that magic number. Where did I get 56,000? Because most investors will buy up to 80% loan to value. So if you have a house that's worth $70,000, they're willing to buy $56,000 worth of payments. 80% of 70,000 is 56,000. And assuming everything looks good on the deal, they probably would buy that for 90 cents on the dollar. Some would even buy it for 95 cents on the dollar, okay? So looking at this 90 cents on the dollar, you're going to receive $50,400. So here, your only loss, your only discount was $5,600. What a difference, okay? So you're going to keep the last $14,000 of that, okay? So instead of discounting everything, you only discounted $5,600. Wouldn't you rather get $14,000 later on the back end than not at all? I absolutely would, okay? So you're going to get $50,000. You're going to pay off the $40,000 loan to your investor, the rehab loan. You put $10,400 in your pocket now, plus you're going to get $14,000 later. So that's $24,400. So you're making an extra $15,400.
And Donna, not only that, but you're going to save money on taxes also.
Yes, absolutely. Because that profit's going to come later on. It's always good to spread out your profits so you have less taxes.
Yep.
And so, Bill, you were talking about early on that you can just different strategies. How you structure a deal can make all the difference in the world in how much profit you make. And that's all the power of doing notes, So I really hope this is enlightening everyone and that you're seeing the value of this. Bill, I see that I put way too many examples in here. And we were going to have a Q&A next week. You know what I think we should do? I think we need to have part 2 next week. We can still answer questions. What do you think? I think we need to wrap up by 8:30. So I'm thinking I'll do one more question, wrap up by 8:30. I got my special gift for everybody. And then let's jump in here next week. We'll answer any questions that people have. What do you think?
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
And folks, if you can't make it this week, or if you need to leave soon, or you can't make it next week, I believe we are recording these, correct, Matthew?
Yeah, that's right, Bill.
Okay, great.
They're recorded. I'll actually upload the replay right away to this one too.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to take this because up until now, we've talked about seller carrybacks. And the rest of my examples are in using non-performing notes. So I think this would be a great place to break. I want to give everybody their gift, and I want to tell everybody about, can we pull that up? Matthew, can you bring that onto the screen? You see where I am?
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody about my Note Buyers Academy. I mentioned it to Deb, and it's coming up. And so let me tell you about my academy. I do have a special offering that I want to give to everybody, and then we'll close with a free gift. And then next week we'll plan on a Q&A. And for the Q&A, I would love if you would email your questions to either Bill or myself, if you would. And then I'll incorporate those into next week's webinar as well.
You want to give them your email then, Donna?
Okay, it is Donna at thenotebuyer.com. Donna at thenotebuyer.com. You want me to grab that, Matthew, for you?
Yeah, here actually.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. If you just go to the end, you'll see it. Here. It's right there.
Yeah, it's on the wrong screen. There we go. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Okay, so
Oops, here I got.
so I have a 4-day academy, and the academy is an experience. Bill will tell you about it. It is so good that people come back 4, 5, and 6 times. I'm not kidding you. I would challenge you to find the quality of education on notes anywhere. It is very comprehensive. This is not a dog and pony show of different speakers. This is me teaching for 4 full days. And I teach all different aspects of note buying, not just the seller carrybacks, but we also talk about the non-performing. We talk about creating notes. If you're a landlord, I can show you different techniques. I call it my landlord's pension plan on how you can retire without just selling off all your properties. Like several of the note sellers, that's what they were doing. They were just selling off everything. There's a lot better way to do it than that. So I cover all of those things at the Note Buyers Academy. So here's some pictures of it. It's actually going to be for 4 days, and it's in Covington, Kentucky. It's September 19th through the 22nd. Covington, Kentucky is right across the river from Cincinnati. And it's very cool. We're at the Radisson, which is a very iconic hotel. It's round and it has the revolving restaurant at the top. It overlooks the city and the river, and I supply all your meals. My cost on that is almost $600 a person, no joke, because not only do I supply your meals, but I take you on a riverboat dinner cruise on Saturday night. And so it is, like you can see here, we're up on the 16th floor, the 18th floor of the hotel, and everybody's networking. It's instead of everybody just running willy-nilly trying to find the closest fast food place, we have really, really nice meals, hot meals, and good meals, healthy meals. And we have a continental breakfast in the morning in the room, and then we have lunch and dinner upstairs. And then on Saturday night, I've rented a B&B riverboat, and we go up the river for an hour and a half, and have a really nice dinner on the boat, and then we come back down. And it's a great way, after being in the classroom for 3 days, to get out, get fresh air. It's just really, really awesome. Okay, so the idea is that you're going to get the best education possible on notes. Plus, you're going to get to network with other like-minded people. And at the same time, we're going to have some fun, and you're going to enjoy yourself. My biggest complaint is that people gain 10 pounds in 4 days. But that's up to you. I'll leave that up to you. But what is so neat is that so many of my students, I can tell you that my students who go to the academy are normally more successful, or they are successful much faster. Because after you've been for 4 days talking to everybody, it's like you're living, breathing, eating notes. On Monday morning, when you get back to real life, you feel like a professional. You feel like an experienced note buyer, just because that's all you've been doing for 4 days. So if any of these things that I've mentioned to you, if they ring true to you and you're thinking, you know what, I really have been wasting time. I've done nothing to grow my retirement. This is silly that I have not been trying to supplement my regular, W-2 income, or I haven't put together any money for the kids' college. I should at least do 1 note a year, and by the time my kids get in school, it would pay for their education. The thing is that if you need cash either today or in the future, I'm very serious. I do not know of a faster, easier, safer way for you to get it than with notes. And that's why I teach, because I love to share the knowledge and the know-how, because I want you to be successful doing notes like I've been successful. It's been a huge blessing for my family, and it can be a huge blessing for yours as well. And so here's my special offer to you. And I've never done this before. And Bill, I didn't even talk to you about it, so I hope you're good with this. I know that it's a big decision to say, hey, I'm going to go to a 4-day academy. I know you need to arrange your schedule. You got to talk to your partner. So here's what I would like to suggest. I have 2017, but actually it's 2018. I have the media set from last year's academy, and that is all the videos for 4 days, all the audios. I have a downloadable manual and the forms that go with it, 10 essential forms that you're going to need. And you can have online access to all of these things. And what I want to do, oops, went too far. I want to offer that set to you for $997. Okay? That set alone would allow you, if you never went to the academy, you never bought another thing, with this information alone and the forms and the checklists that are included, you could go out and start closing note deals immediately, okay, for $997. So in and of itself, this is an awesome deal to get you started. But what I want you to do, I would love to see you pick this up tonight. Start going through it. And then next week, you're probably going to have some questions. Let me answer your questions. Before we start into the non-performing note portion of the presentation, I'll go through and answer questions for you so that you feel comfortable. Meanwhile, you can talk to your spouse or your partner, see if you can clear 4 days. And if you don't want to come to the academy, that's okay. You've lost nothing. You got a great deal on the media set, okay? But on the other hand, if you decide that in fact you would like to come to the academy, I will give you 30 days from the date you buy the media set to upgrade. And so for an additional $997 plus $600 for your spouse, and that's just to cover food. So for your spouse or your partner, add $600. But I'm going to give you 30 days to think about it. And you can upgrade and come to my 4-day live event for just another $997. So to recap, you can get the 2018 Note Buyers Academy Media Set for only $997 tonight. And then you have 30 days to upgrade. And for an additional $997 plus $600 for your partner, you can upgrade and also add the 4-day live event. Don't forget that includes all of your meals and the dinner cruise, okay? That's good. That offer is good for 30 days from the day that you purchase the Academy set. So if you decide to upgrade, you're going to get both the media set and the live event for only $1,994. The Academy alone retails for $24.97, okay? But I got one more thing. If you want to get both tonight, if you know that you already come, you can get both of them. You take another $200 off, and you can come to both of them for $1,794. You know what? I think I'm going to extend that through next Monday night. Okay, Bill? I didn't put that on the screen, but that way you have time to put this all together. So start out by getting your Note Buyers, the Academy Media Set tonight for the $997, and then you got plenty of time to decide if you want to upgrade and add the Academy or not. And do it by next Monday night, and I'll give you an extra $200 off, okay? That is an offer that if you are serious about doing notes, you can't refuse. There's no place that you're going to find this quality and this amount of education for this kind of price. And it's coming up right next month, so it's an awesome opportunity for you to learn. Before I give away the free gift, Bill, is there anything else that you want to say that I have omitted?
No, just guys, I've seen, training from a number of note people, and the thing about Donna that really sets her apart is her attention to detail. Instead of just talking around notes, Donna really gets into the guts of it. For example, I have never seen an educator actually go through the actual paperwork in the manner that she does, diving into, for example, sometimes even just a couple of words on a particular note could either be setting you up for trouble later on or could possibly end up costing you money. She gets into things like that. A lot of other note educators don't. The other thing about Donna is she really teaches the whole scope of note investing. Everything from performing to non-performing notes. She teaches you how to find your own notes. I just agree with her. She doesn't pay me to say this or anything, but she does provide outstanding value for the training that when you go to that, either in the home set, the home course, or the live version. They're just excellent value both ways.
Thank you so much, Bill. I really try. You see, I remember what it was like when I got started, and I had taken someone's course, and they told you enough to know that you could make a lot of money, but not how to. Mm-hmm. And so I am very detailed, as Bill says, and I'm very methodical, very systematic, and so, and I like to sleep at night and not lay in bed and go, did I do everything I was supposed to do on that deal? And so I am big on checklists. I really use checklists a lot. And so I put that all together. And I mean, I have had thousands of people over the years all over the country who have used my system, and it's changed their life. And it sounds very trite to say that, but I wish I could get them on here and they would tell you that if you're serious about changing your financial future, you really want to come to the Academy and get involved. So if you want to go to the Academy, I should have put this on the screen. Go to my website, which is thenotebuyer.com. And actually, here it is, because this is on the giveaway. I put together an advanced calculator course. And what I did was I took one note and I did like 20 different ways to deal with that note. What if you buy the note and you get the deed and then you sell the house and cash out? What if you buy the note, get the deed, and sell the house with seller financing? What if you buy the note, get the deed, sell the house with seller financing, then sell the note? And I just did all these different things, and I calculated the rate of return on each one. And it's awesome to see how it all plays out. And I'll give you a little hint. In some cases, the calculator literally said, too large to compute. Those are my kind of returns.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Note to folks, that's a good thing.
Yes, it's a great thing when that pops up. So I invite you, I thank you for sticking here to the very end. To get your downloadable advanced calculator course, go to thenotebuyer.com/bill. Okay, and there'll be a link there that you can download. And then to take advantage of the Academy set, just go to thenotebuyer.com and you'll see products. Click on that and it's available to you right there in the store. And then we'll do what we said, and we'll have a follow-up. We'll do the second part next week. And those are going to be a lot of non-performing note deals. So if you're really into the non-performing notes, you definitely don't want to miss next week. Okay? I'm good. Thank you all for your attention tonight, and I hope I have the opportunity to meet each one of you. And Bill, thanks a lot for having me tonight. Really appreciate your putting this together.
Oh, you're very welcome, Donna. Thank you very, very much for joining us. So I guess it looks like we had one thing here in chat. Oh, just a thank you. Thank you, Jeff, very much for joining us. And everyone, like she said, Donna's very good to her word. If you have questions, make sure to email either me or Donna. And next week, she will make sure that she answers all of them for you.
Absolutely. And hi, Jeff. Jeff's going to be at the Academy. He and his grandson are coming.
Okay, great.
So very cool. Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.